My name is Paul Harum. I'm on the board of Hearth. See our pop-up stand here. We're a historic buildings trust. So we're, I think, probably one of the longest established and certainly most active of the building preservation trusts in Northern Ireland. We've had a number of projects over the years. We were started in the early 1970s. In 1972, we were established by Ulster Architectural Heritage Society and the National Trust. And over the years, we've kind of done a number of important restoration projects. We want to restore architecturally and historically interesting buildings that are at risk of falling into disrepair and give them a new lease of life. It is a conservation architectural approach, and so we're wanting to ensure that the buildings are preserved, but they are given a new future. So we've had projects such as houses in Belfast, out in Seaford in County Down, various range of places, but also we've done larger projects such as Portrush Town Hall and Sion Mills. The stables have been brought back from dilapidation, and so those are the kind of things that we're interested in. But this is our major project at the moment, Riddle's Warehouse, which Hearth has purchased, and we are now exploring a new future for this fantastic building. So I hope you kind of have, if you haven't been here before and you've come in and you've had a look up, we've been pleasantly surprised or had a bit of a wow factor of this fantastic atrium, which is a very special space and a real echo of Belfast's industrial heyday. The building itself dates from the 1860s. It's an ironmongery warehouse for Riddel's firm, and Riddels were a very, very prolific ironmongers, ironmongery company, and they would have been, as you can appreciate, just the whole kind of industrialisation. There would have been ironmongery going out of this building. It would have been a hive of activity. You've come in from the front over a weighbridge where the horses would have come in drawing their carts, and their loads would have been weighed on the weighbridge. Rosie's just walking through. Either side of this entrance area, there are two offices. To this side here, this is the city office, so any of the firms ironmongery that was going to city businesses, Belfast businesses, Belfast destinations would have gone out and been administered from here. And on the other side here was the country office, so that would have been administering all the stuff that was going out all across Ulster, towns and villages of Bangor, Hilltown, and wherever on here, so either side. As you came in, you maybe saw, and if you haven't seen it, you can on later on the way out. There is a nice illustration on the wall just near the door, a Victorian illustration of the facade of the building. I'm afraid as you come in you haven't been able to see the facade because the scaffolding is up. The scaffolding was just put up in the last couple of weeks, and we're just doing some testing on the stonework and the brickwork at the moment as part of the phase of work that we're undertaking to just explore what needs to be done in the long term. But we've been doing some testing on the brickwork there, so that's why that's up. But you will see a little illustration on that poster, and it's also in this little booklet. And I'm afraid we've actually come to the end of these booklets, but we do have more available in the office. So if you do really want to get one of these, do contact the Ulster Architectural Heritage Office, and I'm sure we'll be able to get those out to you. It also gives you a little bit of a history of the building. Goods would have come in here and would have been hoisted up, as you can see, and there's up above there's a pulley which would have taken goods up and then would have been unloaded on the floors above. This is the original staircase over here. I'm afraid we can't use that at the moment. It wouldn't be safe, but we will take you up onto the floor above. This structure here behind me, this insertion here, this is obviously not terribly aesthetically appealing and will be removed in our vision for the future of the building, but it just gives you a little bit more of the history of this place. As I say, this was a very busy business with ironmongery going out from here for many, many decades, but during the Troubles in the 70s, this became a very problematic place to be kind of to be sending goods out of, and so in the early 70s, Riddles ceased to function from here. and the building was then taken over by the police, and so actually, in a sense, that was its salvation, in that it was a buffer zone for Musgrave Police Station next door to us here, and it's also a listed building, so the fact that it was listed and that the police actually had it in its ownership, it wasn't then either kind of demolished and became the kind of fencing that is down near Musgrave Station at the moment, but has this survived, and the police then also inserted this structure here, and it formed its lost property office in Belfast for a certain period of time, which was accessed from the police station. It wasn't accessed from this front of the road from Ann Street. We can take a little look inside here. It's not of any architectural interest, but it just gives you a sense of what it was, and you can see the cast iron columns in here, which are painted white here and which are exposed up above. So if we want to take a quick look in there, and then we can just go upstairs.
See if someone's laughing.
Oh, I see. It was for distribution, so it was a warehouse for distribution of the goods. They weren't creating the ironmongering here. No, it was going to be. I actually don't know, I'm afraid. I think it would have come from the range of places, probably quite locally.
Originally, the foundries were just the other side of the river there.
Were they actually?
They're all long gone because of the motorway junction.
Yeah.
There's a street over there called Foundry Street.
Right.
Great. Should we move upstairs?
Sorry, thank you.
Shall we gather around here again, and then?
I do like that.
Is that all of us up? Do you think? Yeah. I think I forgot to say who the architect was, didn't I? I'm not sure. And did I say anything about the front of the building, about in terms of the sculpture decoration? No, not yet. Okay, well, I'll do that. So the building does date from 1867, and it's designed by the Belfast architect Thomas Jackson, who was also the architect of the old town hall, which is now one of the law courts complex just further on up Chichester Street, and was the precursor of Belfast City Hall. Belfast, as you all know, kind of boomed industrially and then became a city in the 1880s, and they required a much bigger and grander set piece, which then became the city hall. But Thomas Jackson's the architect of this, and architect of a lot of warehouse type buildings. So this was, as has been mentioned, it was a warehouse so that goods were distributed from here, and so they would have, it would have been a hive of activity distributing goods all over the place, but it wasn't a place of manufacture. The other thing then I was just going to say, just if you do get a chance on your way out through the scaffolding, just take a look at the sculptural decoration of the building. It's particularly fine and emblematic of the kind of sculptural decoration on warehouse buildings in Belfast. This building is of very similar vintage to the McCausland's warehouse, which is just out in front of the street there, which is now Nominating Hotel. And those of you who know it, it's got a very bold sculptural decoration, very much kind of sculptural motifs that relate to the far-flung parts of the Empire, and very expressive sculptural decoration. You think about the Fitzpatrick brothers, and that was like this is so similar that the Fitzpatrick brothers were probably the sculptors involved in the decoration here. What we are doing at the moment as part of this phase of trying to find new purpose for the building is we are just doing some testing on the stonework and the carbon deposits that have built up over the years. And so I'll pass this around just to show you that this has been cleaned very gently, and it just shows you some of the kind of sculptural decoration on the capitals. I'll pass it on if you want to just. You'll see also a little bit more of the kind of stonework detailing that has been lost because of the pollution of the years. Some of it can be left, and some of it can be sensibly restored. And some of the cleaning work also then is the polychromatic brickwork. So the building is largely in the front facade yellow brick, but we also have red and black brick banding as well. So polychromatic is a very typical period, and the influence of Western really has been highly significant during the Victorian era, and naturalistic decoration and colour, so that would be expressed through this very utilitarian material. So all these warehouses you're getting is really wonderful kind of decoration. So I'll pass that back. Yes, they're a Belfast firm, yes. Could have come from a range of places, but not just stonework. So just sort of if you look back there, you can get a sense then of what we were saying earlier. The goods would have been hoisted up, and also you'll see either side these columns that are going, new vertical columns that are going around the kind of atrium are cast iron, but the reddish ones running along both sides are stainless steel, are steel, and they would have had pulleys along them as well to kind of help transport goods along the sides of the building.
So these vertical horizontal ones are cast iron?
These are cast iron, yeah. And they were painted, like those who went in downstairs, they were painted white down there, but they've been left exposed here because cast iron it won't rust, it goes to this patination and then will stay like that.
The patination protects the inner ironwork.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you can see, they don't have to be absolutely solid as well, strengthen them. So in fact what's happened here is they put some care into the creation of these rather than just be sort of just, solid steel. There's little kind of niches that have been hollowed out in them and little sort of capital-like tops to them. So they're very beautiful things in themselves.
Load bearing.
Yeah. And then because cast iron on the vertical wood works better for the load bearing on the horizontal. So we have the very thick load bearing wood beams there.
And that would be oak.
Good question. I'm afraid I don't know. Somebody earlier said they thought it was pitch pine.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yes, and the gentleman said earlier that the foundries were
chimney was still there until it was demolished in 1985.
Yeah. So relatively.
I claimed it as a
Very good. Very good.
on a dare.
So and that sort of local knowledge is brilliant because all of that kind of leads into understanding more and more about the building because delighted to hear if anybody's got recollections or can feed into kind of building up the history of this place. That's very nice.
These chairs stay here. Quite some considerable time. Yes.
Performances here, which you could also have in the gallery exhibition space as well. And then we have some control space over here and some office space as well. The likes of which might be people who don't want to have a whole office but might be willing to have a shared office space. And a cafe down in the old city office space down here.
Just the way that it is at the minute, I'm getting visions of Peaky Blinders.
People, when they come in, a lot of them just sort of think Globe Theatre, you know. Now it does. We have, since we've acquired the building over the last couple of years, we have had performances in here, and the likes of Culture Night, and occasional kind of pop-up things happen, and some filming projects and so on. Sometimes people have film things in here, and health and safety permitting, we'll be able to do it because we want to open up the building and let people see what it's like. But our long-term future for it. Sorry.
There's projections this year in Culture Night, isn't there?
Very good. I'm actually not across what's happening this year, but
I think that I did see it in the programme. There's projections and music in here. I think it's one of the things that you'd like to be interested in.
Great. So please take a look at that if you can get to that. And I've been to like an orchestral performance in this space, and people have just gathered around, and it's a cool venue. Yeah. So look, I'll just pass this round. This is sort of the kind of thing, multi-purpose thing that we're hoping to kind of realise. We will have to replace the ceiling or the roof, but it will be again a glass roof. But I can pass that round as something just as a sort of vision for the building. I will point it out just because inevitably people will probably ask. If you look back there, you will see some cracking up there. But we actually, I think I said downstairs to you, hopefully it wasn't another group, but just that the settlement of the building, actually, this building is considered to be very secure. It hasn't been deep piled. It was actually it's on paths, but it didn't. It hasn't settled in a wonky way because we think that the two rivers on either side have had an alluvial deposit or like spit, and that this building sits in spit. So it actually puts. But the reason for this particular bit of damage, which can be repaired, is through water penetration. And you can see some water penetration has gone down onto the beam as well. But that is repairable. So our desire is to have very minimal insertions in this. It will be about restoration, repair, and then a few insertions that we have to have, such as lifts for accessibility and so on. But we'll do that in a sensitive way. Other things, just to sort of again point out, these kind of ranch-like balustrades, they were removable, and so materials would have been hoisted up, and those kind of would have been taken down, and things could have been just hoisted onto each level. So I mean, it's very different to today in terms of health and safety and so on. It would have been a very vibrant working space. But what you see, kitchen and collection of materials that would be moving all the way up through the building. What I can do is, I'm afraid, as I say, I can't take you to another level, but we can go in here to just underneath, and you can get a little bit of a sense of some of the working part of the building. Station Trust. So we're totally volunteer body. We have no staff, and yeah, so we're so yeah, just bring you in here very briefly. If your eyes adjust, you'll see these sort of pigeonholes here, and this would just give you a flavour of the kind of everyday life of the building when it was Riddle's. This would have been nuts and bolts put in here for kind of being distributed out. Riddle's were here until 1973, and you'll see, just if you have a little look on these, behind the little kind of cardboard panels, there were imperial measurements, which is the imperial measurements of the nuts and bolts and whatever it was, and on top of them we have metric measurements, because that came in just with the new metric system and the